Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the channel. In this episode of Red Dissection, Alhamdulillah, we're going to analyze and dissect United's victory, last minute victory against Brentford. United went down to Brentford 1-0 in the first half. It was their own doing. Casemiro gave the ball easily to the pressing Brentford midfielders, and then Onana couldn't hold on to a soft shot by Matthias Jensen. It was another clanger from Onana. United struggled to break down a very deep defensive line of Brentford throughout the 90 minutes. And it was only the two stoppage time goals from Mctominay which saved the Erik ten Hag's job for another 2 weeks. But United will take a lot of heart from the manner of the victory, coming back into the match and winning it in the what we all know is dubbed as the Fergie time. It could be a false dawn, but we'll take the 3 points certainly. Looking at the momentum meter, United have most of the ball. Brentford did counter-attack well, especially in the first half. Brentford were more dominant and more progressive and more adventurous. In the second half, because of some changes, especially down to Amrabat being the pivot and Eriksson coming on for Casemiro, we were able to keep the ball much better and distribute it and recycle it better in the second half. Apart from the Neil Maupay strike late in the match, Brentford didn't have any other opportunity in the second half. The pressure eventually told, and United equalized in the 93rd minute and winning it in the 97th minute with the last kick of the ball or the last header of the ball. Looking at the overall statistics, we dominated the ball with 64% possessions, had 21 shots. Most of them were not dangerous, but especially in the second half, we were actually trying to shoot from distance as well as get into the box with some cute balls from Amrabat into Højlund, who was very good at protecting the ball and linking up play. But it was down to the changes that Ten Hag did with Garnacho and Anthony, who provided much needed flair in the wide areas and actually stretching their defense. So we were able to put good balls into the box and eventually win the match in the last minute. Looking at average position, we can see how deep Brentford were defending, especially in the second half, almost with 5 at the back. Both the wing backs or full backs coming deep in while defending the box. For United, we can see that even with slow centre backs like Evans and Maguire, we tried to push up and try to squeeze Brentford, especially the defensive line, back into the box. And it was this pressure that eventually told in us getting the needed 2 goals right at the end. We can also see Højlund dropping slightly deep in the second half, trying to link up play. But it was the 2 substitution with Garnacho and Anthony provided us with the much needed width and then trying to find gaps with the stretch defense. Also a shout out to Amrabat, who was played in his preferred position and actually controlled the match and the tempo of our play, especially in the second half when Casemiro, who was abysmal, was substituted and Eriksson was brought in. Coming to player ratings, Onana gets the lowest possible marks. I mean, his distribution was okay, especially a couple of balls to Bruno behind the defensive line. But his main job is to secure clean sheets, especially save easy goals, not give them away for fun. And he's been doing that and costing us games. And this was another of his mistake that gave Brentford the lead. And if it weren't for Mctominay's exceptional heroics at the end, we would have lost 3 points. So Onana gets the lowest point. Diogo Dalot was good in progressing the ball from the back, especially one of our brighter players. But in the final third, he was poor. His delivery was poor. Also, his defensive output is always questionable. But in relation to other players, especially our more creative players, he wasn't the worst of a bad bunch. So he gets 4 points. Harry Maguire was decent on the ball, and suddenly he gets another point because of his late assist for Mctominay's winner. But overall, he was nothing exceptional. I mean, he was involved, not directly, but he gave the ball to Casemiro, who gave it away to Brentford for their goal. But overall, he was decent. Defensively, he and Evans are quite slow, so we know that is That is something that Brentford wanted to exploit, but overall he didn't give Brentford too many opportunities to run at us. So he gets a decent score. Johnny Evans was also neat on the ball. He was, particularly in the first half, he was good in terms of interceptions and blocking their shots. But overall, we know that he lacks physicality for this level. But he wasn't exposed too much thanks to the sweeping done by Amrabat. So he gets a decent score as well. Lindela was playing in an unfamiliar left back position. He tried to bomb on the left flank and provide an outlay or an outlet for Rashford, but they didn't have any kind of chemistry on that flank. Defensively, because he was left on his own by Rashford, he did a decent job, but he was the one who gave the ball away in our box to Brentford with a weak clearing that led to their goal. So he gets one less point than the rest of the defense. Casemiro was the worst player on the pitch and was deservedly subbed off at halftime. He gave the ball away, which led to the Brentford goal, and his overall play, especially with the ball, was horrific, and he was responsible for a lot of turnovers. Obviously, his legs are gone. We have seen that since the Liverpool loss at Anfield, the teams are especially targeting him with their press because he is not resistant or doesn't have the pace to get away from his markers. So he is a problem, and I don't see him lasting much longer in the starting lineup. And this was one of his worst performance in the Man United shirt. Sofron M was decent in the first half, but especially grew into the role, which is his favorite position in that pivot, in the deep lying playmaker and sweeper. And he was exceptional in the last 20 minutes before he was subbed off for Mctominay. He was good at picking players in the box, like he did with Højlund a couple of times. He was also good at keeping our play going and keeping the tempo, slowing it down or quickening it up. Sometimes he was good dribbling with the ball for 5-10 yards. So he was one of our better players and deservedly gets 6 points. Bruno Fernandez was his usual self, especially playing on the right flank in the first half. He was constantly coming in and not providing us width, so it made it easier for Brentford to hunker down in their box. Both he and Rashford were wasteful on the ball, and the only reason he stays on the pitch is because he is Ten Hag's captain. This was the usual Bruno Fernandes performance that he's been giving us for last 18 months. So nothing exceptional here. So he gets the same score that he gets usually on these ratings. Mason Mount started decently, especially in the first half. In first 20-25 minutes, he was bright, linking up play to Højlund. He also had a shot that was blocked by Ethan Pinnock. But apart from that, he was invisible in the second half. He was pushed to the right flank, and Bruno came in his preferred number 10 position. And Bruno actually played better than him in that position. And he was consequently he was subbed off for Anthony. Anthony did make a huge difference to our game. It was a bad performance from Mason Mount. Rashford also started well, especially in the first half. Had a couple of decent shots right at the keeper though. But his overall play is a detriment to our own gameplay. And he is so clueless, especially when trying to link up with other players. He keeps his head down and just runs into other defenders. He was actually physically outmuscled few times by Ayer, their centre back, one of the three centre backs, and he wasn't running back, tracking his own marker, which was Ayer, and Ayer got the best of him a couple of times in straight sprints as well. So it was a bad performance, a usual bad performance for Marcus Rashford. Rasmus Højlund didn't get too many opportunities to score. It was a graveyard shift for him, but he was good at holding up the ball, and he kept on fighting for the cause till the very last second. And he was good while holding the ball, and he actually grew into the game in the second half, especially in the last stretch of the match. And he was one of our better players, and it is promising that he can last this long. And after playing like 3 games on a trot in a week, his fitness level seems to have come up as well. So that's a good sign for Manchester United. Coming to substitutions, Christian Eriksson was brought in for Casemiro. He was certainly better than Casemiro, better on the ball, and without being exceptional, he just kept the ball ticking. And he had a good shot at the goal, which was saved by the keeper. But he certainly made a difference. But he wasn't extraordinary in any one aspect. His partnership with Amrabat could work because we can see his qualities on the ball complement the qualities Amrabat brings off the ball. So we might see that partnership a bit more in the upcoming matches. So it was a decent performance from Eriksson. Anthony was exceptional when he came on. He was bright and combative. He was, he was adventurous, especially on his flank. He was cutting in, going out, linking up well with Bruno Fernandez. He was unlucky with a couple of shots, but he certainly made a difference. He certainly delivered to what Ten Hag might have hoped from him, and he certainly gets good points for his performance. Garnacho was responsible for the first goal, our equalizer. He was relentless, and he gave us an outlet that Rashford didn't. He was good in keeping the ball, running down the flank on the outside as well as coming in, and this was certainly an encouraging performance, and certainly gives few pointers to Ten Hag for starting him in our upcoming matches, because he certainly deserves to be given a chance over Rashford in the next few matches. Anthony Martial was bright when he came on, but usually Ten Hag leaves it too late for Martial to get any real crack at the goal. He did have a shot at goal at the very end, but that was a weak shot and it was easily saved by the keeper. Overall, his link up with Højlund was promising again, and in my opinion, he should be given more opportunity and more time to flourish and bloom that partnership with Højlund. Scotty Mctominay was the man of the match. It was once in a lifetime kind of performance for him. He was flawless, faultless. He only had like 4 touches on the ball, 2 of them being goals. And his cameo is certainly one of the most enthralling that I've ever seen in a United shirt. Certainly for the kind of impact he had as a sub. He scored in the 93rd minute, the equalizer, and finally won us the game in the 97th minute with the last kick of the ball. So he was the undoubted man of the match. He certainly has a goal in him. He's a goal threat, and we've seen it for Scotland as well. And maybe Ten Hag will look at him as a possible box-to-box midfielder that he is designed to play, and maybe he gets more opportunity in that advanced role. And but this is certainly a moment that he'll and certainly our EV fans will cherish for the rest of his career. Erik Ten Hag gets the 3-point, but he was certainly saved by Mctominay. I mean, this would have been our 4th consecutive loss at Old Trafford, and his blushes were saved by Scotty, and he was outworked by Thomas Frank again. There was no design, there was no creativity in our play, and again we committed the same mistake, conceding the same kind of goal with cutbacks, and he hasn't addressed that. A win is a win, but this is papering over the cracks which are apparent for anybody to see. Ten Hag has had a charmed life in his position as the manager of Manchester United, but it seems like it is prolonging the inevitable sack. We are not performing well. We don't seem to have any kind of design or philosophy of a play, and certainly this kind of performance, even though it's a win, is something that will add more pressure to Ten Hag. And after the international break, we'll see how long he lasts in the job, and or if he can, take this win as a precursor to change our fortunes and change our mentality and produce some kind of football and gameplay that we have been wanting from him and we expected from him when he was appointed as the manager. So we'll see what future holds for Ten Hag, but for now, this victory is certainly an important one coming at the brink of another international break. With this international break, United will have 2 weeks to take stock of of our current standing both in the Premier League and Champions League. We need to analyze and pinpoint the kind of mistakes that we are committing consistently and giving away easy goals defensively. And we certainly have to hold few players accountable for their consistent, recurring, abysmal performances. Ten Hag needs to hold his hand up and admit his mistakes and try to rectify them. And with no imminent development as far as the takeover is concerned, we are likely to be stuck with Ten Hag for now. And we'd hope, inshallah, that he can take this victory as a point of inflection and turn around our fortunes on the pitch. It's been a decade-long wait for another crack at the Premier League trophy by any kind of run in the Champions League. Obviously, winning breeds confidence, and this win should help us with that. But in our case, the rot sets in from the very top. The ownership, the Glazers have destroyed the very soul of this club. They have squeezed every penny out of this club, and will continue to do so in the near future as well. So shout out to all the match-going fans who have been vocal and doing their bit to try to force their hand. Until that happens, I don't see that the open heart surgery that we so desperately need. Hopefully, we can crack on after the international break in the league as well as in both the cups. We have a fixture against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup and home fixture against Copenhagen. So we need to win those matches in order to salvage our season. And inshallah, a victory like this will help us get the shot in the arm and revive our season. We will continue with our Red Resurrection and our career mode over the next 2 weeks. Please join us for that, and inshallah we can bring to you some great football and exceptional goals. Please continue to like and subscribe and promote our videos. Also, a solemn prayer for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. May Allah protect them and deliver them from the evil of Zionism. So until we meet again with a career mode, take care, do good. Assalamu alaikum.